In this video, I'm going to show step-by-step how to do an ollie on a tech deck or a fingerboard, as well as some tips and tricks to get more pop out of your ollies. Learning how to do a proper ollie is one of the most important tricks in skateboarding because it is the fundamental for pretty much all other tricks where you pop the board up. Starting off with finger placement, you'll want your front finger to be a little bit in front of the middle of the board, but definitely behind the front screws. And then your back finger, not on the farthest back of the tail, but closer to the back of the screws. And keep in mind, this is just a general finger placement. You can definitely play around it with what is comfortable to you, as well as what works best on your board. And I did try a few different boards just to see if they were all the same, and they definitely are a little bit different for each board. And the best way to check for your rear finger placement is just to see where the board pops. So just by pressing right near the rear screws and keep moving back a little bit until you find right where it pops. And that first place where it pops is going to give you the most amount of pop as well as the most control from your pop. So you want to go with that placement. Going too far back on the tail tends to lose the snappiness of the pop as well as a good amount of control. So definitely want to try and fine tune it and get that finger as close to the rear screws as possible. Once you've got your finger placement down, you can try popping the back of the board while keeping your front finger rested on the front and catching it. And it's also important for your hand to kind of follow the board motion. So go ahead and pop the front finger up and then straight down to make sure that you land. When you first start doing ollies, you might notice that the board goes left or right, and this is perfectly normal. It has to do with the fact that when you put pressure on the board, it might tend to lean one way or the other. And for ollies, you really want to have a good balance. So you might need to move your front or back finger either forward off the board or a little bit closer in toward the board to avoid this, and just fine tune it. And make sure that each finger is balanced by themselves and neither of them are putting pressure in one way or the other. If one of them pushes the other way and the other one counteracts it, you might end up with a kick flip or a varial flip, something else that requires that off balance. Once you have the finger placement and balance down, all that's left is to get the motion of the trick. And a really good technique for practicing is using the edge of a table or something that you can put the edge of the skateboard off of, and then using your two fingers go forward and down. This is the exact motion you want to use right after you pop the board up. Once you've got the pop and catch motion down, all that's left is to get a clean landing. And for a clean landing, you want to land as close to where you popped off from, or at least near the screws or bolts. One thing to keep in mind while practicing is for the rear finger when you're popping to make sure to go straight down. If you go somewhat off to the side, you might end up with a varial flip or an unintentional flip of some sort. And the same thing for the front finger. The timing of it is pretty important to play around with. If you do it too slow, you might find that the front or your hand goes completely off the board. And if you do it too fast, you might end up with a flip as well. Another common issue people have when first learning how to ollie is rocket board, or when the board goes really vertical up, almost like a rocket taking off. And to avoid this, you can use your front finger and put it a little bit more forward, or just work on the timing of that. But it also can come down to rolling into the ollie rather than doing it from a standstill. And this really helps working on the speed, see what the right amount of speed is that you need to get it so the board levels out when you catch with that front finger. And then the back finger catches and coming down equally, then you get a really clean landing. Once you get the basics of the ollie down, another good trick for getting control of your landings is to intentionally land on your front trucks or back trucks. And you can do this just by sliding your fingers slightly forward or backwards, depending on which trucks you want to land on. And then holding that position when you come down and continuing rolling through. And that about wraps up my step-by-step ollie tutorial, tips and tricks. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as if you have any other questions or comments, you can put those in the comment section down below. And if you have any other trick requests that you'd like to see me make a tutorial on, you can put that there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and up next will be a tutorial on the kickflip. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.